I just like to introduce a little flip tab checklist, and it's mounting in my twin Comanche. Of course, we know there's no room on the panel of a twin Comanche left for anything whatsoever. So, and I developed this actually out of memory from a Queen Air that I'd flown when I was a kid. And I always wondered what happened to it. So I resurrected it, and you might have seen it at some of the CPPP clinics. And we'll probably wind up offering these for sale at some point in time. And basically, you flip up to go up, and you flip down to go down. So if you start on the left here, you do your pre-start, you have your passenger brief, door check, seat belts, fuel is on mains, and you clear the area, you get ready to crank. And when you do that, you flip that up. Now, if your passenger asks a question or something, and you have a normal manual checklist that probably gets lost under the seat, you have really got to start to think and start the checklist over. This is a stateful checklist. It doesn't use any batteries. It's not on your iPad. It's not inside of your avionics. It's here whenever you need it. So you do your startups left and right. It has an oil pressure check, set your digiflow, check your flight instruments, make sure your altimeter is set, make sure your autopilot altimeter is set. And then, of course, we can then taxi to the run-up area and begin our run-up. And we know that we have taken the first two tabs, and we have taken and covered that situation. You run up, your mag check, feathering check, check your instruments, all in the green, and check your vac. You gotta check your controls and make sure your trim is set. And then it's like, uh-oh, we get called for a clearance, and we go ahead and copy it. Well, where were we at in the checklist? Well, we know exactly where we were at. We're going to do our final engine config. And once again, we check our fuel selectors are on the main tanks, and we check the squawk code is in the transponder. And then, as always, we're going to take and wait for our IFR release. So a lot of times you run your mixtures up, maybe turn on your boost pump and say we're ready for takeoff, and they'll say hold for release. Well, in this case, you can sit there with your mixture still lean and your boost pumps off, and then they say cleared for takeoff. You look at the final item, put your mixtures up forward, turn your boost pumps on, flip the tab, and then we take off and we go to our cruise level. And what happens in a lot of twin Comanches is you leave your boost pumps on. So it says level off and cruise, pumps are off, close your cowl flaps, and do your final lean, and you're at altitude. Then the same thing happens on the way down. If you have a turbo twin Comanche, of course, we're going to turn the oxygen off. We'll pull out the turbos, and we'll adjust the mixtures as required on our letdown. And 10 minutes out, we're going to make sure our fuel selectors are on our main tanks. Now, maybe we burn off everything and we're already on our main tanks. We get rid of that right now. We could be a half hour out. The next things are pretty important. And the gear down, if you want to take, and you really should get procedural on this, there's two places to put the gear down. Beam the numbers and the final approach fix inbound. And ditto, the boost pumps. But if you throw the gear out, you get distracted with communications or whatever. You just take and check green, flip it down, and then you get back to it and you're continuing your approach to land, and you say, well, better turn the boost pumps on, turn them on. And then we have mixture set and initial flaps while we're in the pattern, and I consider that the final pattern from your base to your final. Flap set, prop high RPM, and then on that quarter mile, you're going to do a final gump check, and you flip that down, and then you leave one tab. And anybody that owns a twin Comanche that's left the heater on knows that this is pretty critical. So you're on the ground, you have your boost pumps, you're going to flip them off if it's in the winter. If it's in the summer, you won't. And then you want to make sure your heater's off, cowl flaps open, taxi lean, and that's clearing the runway. After you clear the runway, you check that, and you flip down and you taxi in. So it's a neat little system here. You can't lose it. It's always, I got it with some spring clips mounted right on the overhead here by your trim handle. And so it's real handy. It's real easy to access. And personally, wouldn't fly the airplane without it.